how has it been teaching your kids about money, and how receptive have they been?
I think it's been tough. It seems like kids that are my kids' age, they see a lot of people making a lot of money in a lot of different places, mostly on social media, and they want to be that person, but they're not sure how to do it, and they don't seem to want to put in the time, energy, or effort to get there. So when my kids come to me frustrated and they want to know the secret to getting rich or getting money or living a good life, I only can tell them hard work. It's the only thing I know that will get you there. And once you have the hard work and you're able to make some money, then you can put your money to work for you. But outside of that, I don't have the answers for them. I wish I did.
Yeah. Well, again, back to, and not that that's a bad thing, right? I mean, I don't want parents to feel like, man, I'm a loser parent. I didn't teach my kids about money, right? If we don't know, then we should probably at least step up and get them to understand you need the financial education, especially when they start to get, in those late teenage years or young adults, and they're out making money, and what they're doing with their money, is really, really important, because you learned your habits really early at that 7 or 8, right? You got that mindset of hustling and wanting to make that extra money. And a lot of these kids today, and I use that word loosely, kids, because my oldest is 37. So anybody under 37 is a kid to me. But to get them to understand that money is a tool, and like any tool, we need to use it correctly to best use it to our advantage, right? But we're all playing this financial game. And like any game, and I say it over and over again, if you don't know the rules to a game, you're never going to win, right? So the sooner that we could teach the kids the rules of the game, which is one, a good work ethic, right? Make your money, save your money so you can put your money to work. It's not always about gratifying yourself on materialistic things. Would you agree?
Totally. I want to elaborate a little bit. I feel like I coach my kids on a regular basis on things. I feel like they come to me on a regular basis with ideas or questions. I try to make good suggestions, and then, they're going to do what they're going to do. Ultimately, I think they always come back and, kind of regret that they didn't do it the way that we kind of showed them. And then they go back and they do it that way for sure. But everything from, interest to renting versus owning versus saving. It's all important things that we're constantly trying to stress. And it's harder and harder to save these days, because those it seems like, to your point earlier, you got to have money to make money, so they don't know where to start. And but really the place to start is just start saving, and go from there.
I agree. Saving's key. But again, I shared with you earlier on my youngest daughter, she's 21 now, and I taught her those lessons early. And I think you kids if you're out there and you're still with mom and dad, man, take advantage of those years. Go make some money. You have no bills, and stop buying nonsense stuff and start putting your money away. I had my daughter open up her Roth IRA at 17. She fully funds it every year. That's how she was able to buy her first property at 20. And why she has she's financially secure, which means she has money to pay her bills for 6 months. And then she's got money on top of that. So she doesn't hurt from money. But she's also, it's funny, there's a fine line between frugal and cheap. Would you agree? So I think these kids need to learn how to be frugal at a young age, and not watch the Kardashians or something that are just spending ridiculous amounts of, now they make ridiculous amounts of money and that's why they spend it. But let's not try to emulate that, because you're never going to get ahead by doing that. Talk to me about retirement. What are your thoughts on retirement? Because I'm in my late 50s, you're in your early. What's your mindset about retirement right now?
Oh, such a great question, and timely too. I'm 54. I'll be 55 in April. So I am actually targeting, we talked about goal setting earlier. I'm targeting retirement around 60. And I'm hoping that I'll do something in retirement that I enjoy that will also generate some kind of revenue for me. So I'm not going to consider it necessarily a job, but something more of a hobby or a craft or a consulting or something that I'll still continue to do, but not necessarily in the capacity that I'm working today.
That brings up a good, I mean, if we talk about that word retirement, and I think it's just taught to us from a very young age. And then when you're in your 20s, if someone talks to you about retirement, you're like, I don't want to hear that. That's so far away. I don't want to worry about it. And the reality is you should start worrying about some sort of a retirement at an early age, because I think this country has programmed people to think that retirement's an age, and retirement is not an age. Retirement is a financial, dollar amount that makes you comfortable in life and what you're going to do. So when you just describe retirement, you didn't describe, hey, I'm going to quit working, I'm not going to do anything. Your retirement to you, which it is to me also, for most people it is when you don't have to work to be able to sustain your lifestyle, but you want to work because you want to go follow a passion. And it's going to bring some extra cash in to whatever that is for your lifestyle. So I think for people to understand, retirement is not an age, because if you thought retirement is an age, look at some of these young entrepreneurs that are billionaires, like a Zuckerberg, right? That kid became a billionaire at 24 or something, right? Because he created something incredible that the world wanted. And he didn't stop working because he's a billionaire, right? He just did all that out of passion. So be careful, I think, out there thinking that retirement is your total goal. I try to teach that your goal should be to be financially independent first, which means you got to understand the difference between being financially secure, being financially independent, or being financially free, because there's three meanings to all of those meanings. So, Steve, what do you believe those to mean? First, we'll start with being financially secure.
Financially secure, I think, is having the cash on hand, having your bills under control and managed in a way that you're living within your means. And then financially secure would mean that you have the income coming in that exceeds your expenses at a good ratio, and that you also have those reserves that you talked about your daughter having, those 6 months of minimum of reserves on hand in the event of something happening.
Right. So you've kind of mingled the two together. So the actual definition of being financially secure, and this should be everybody's goal when you're in your early 20s or you just start working, which is to actually have 6 months of your living expenses. Now, when you're 20, whatever years old, your living expenses aren't probably a lot of money. When you get married, have kids, buy a house, obviously your living expenses get larger. And for some people to be able to put away 6 months of your living expenses could take some time. It's not something that can happen overnight. But what it does do for you, we are just, 7 months, 8 months into this pandemic, and a lot of people suffered because it was up, what it hit, like 40% unemployment rate or something, and it's come down. But a lot of people got in trouble because too many people work paycheck to paycheck. And so I think that people should strive to become financially secure, so when emergencies happen, because I have one daughter who's a hairdresser. If she were to break her hand somehow out doing whatever, she can't go to work now, right? So if you're the type of person that works with your hands or, physically, you can't work. Your bills don't stop because you get hurt, right? So put yourself in the position of being financially secure. You're going to sleep better at night. You're going to know that your bills are going to get paid for at least 6 months, because that'll give you enough time to either heal up, or if you lose a job, you lose a job, you get another one in 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to be fine. You're not going to freak out. Being financially independent is, you started to explain it on the other side, which is when you make enough money and you put that money to work, and there's a lot of different vehicles to put it to work in, and that money gives you dividends that supports your lifestyle. Now, that's a huge, that number is all across the board, and there's no right or wrong answer, because I know people out there that are happy to retire and live on like $2,000 a month. And there's other people out there I know that say, hey, I cannot live on less than $20,000 a month, right? I need the big mansion, the new cars. That's the lifestyle they want to live. So obviously you need to do all the right things and a lot of good things with money to create a $20,000 a month lifestyle that, your money's paying you back. And then ultimately, the ultimate goal would be financial freedom, which is simply you're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of over $10 million, because then whatever you need or want is not about money. at all. You're probably thinking about setting up legacies, giving more to charities, all that kind of thing. But I think people, especially the younger ones today, are watching all these young entrepreneurs who are making, like you said, a lot of money online. And I mean a lot of money. I'm on YouTube a lot. There's 20-year-olds making hundreds of thousands a month, not a year, but a month. And, they're out there buying the Lamborghinis and the big houses and all that stuff. And I kind of think like, man, these kids are almost like sports guys who make all that money. And statistically, we know these sports guys who have these great careers end up with no money because they lived high on the hog. And a sports career generally is 10 years. Some of them will go longer. So I think the good lesson for a lot of you guys that are out there is, it's funny, your last name is Hare, right? And you got the tortoise in the hare, saying, but you should really just try to strive. It's a long race. We don't know our last day on this planet. Hopefully, Steve, you and I got another 30 plus years to go. And you've got an amazing skill set that could benefit not just yourself, but other people. So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the whole podcast episode, then go ahead and click right here. Okay? Do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you want to hit the notification bell, you'll get notified every time we release a new video out for you, whether it's the clip or the whole podcast. So hope you get a lot of value, and I'll see you guys on the next one.